I'm back again.
I'm big.
And guess what? I am here to rank all of the songs from my number one favourite band, Captain Beyond. I'm not including live songs, obviously. I love this band. I'm so fucking autistic about them. Like, I've been like rabbit holing them and stuff, reading shit on all sorts of old ass websites. I have to say, it was very hard to rank these. I tried being sticking to the normal format and being harsh on some of the tracks and putting them in like C tier and stuff, but after looking at it, I just can't. It just doesn't look right to me. I can't do it in good faith. So this tier list does not go below B tier. I know damn near every other tier list does go below that, but this is my tier list. If you disagree, I have made this tier list public. I actually made this tier list unlike the last one, and I've uploaded it. It's public. I'll put it in the description so you can rank them yourself. Also, I realised after making my last tier list that I kinda forgot to talk about the band as much as I wanted to, because I want to have this as me just talking about the band while also ranking them. So I'm going to try and do that more in future, including right now. I'll try and keep it brief though. So here's a bit of the lore on Captain Beyond for those uninitiated. So starts off with a guy called Rod Evans, who not long got kicked out of Deep Purple in mid/early 1969. Rather unfairly, I might add, but that's another story. Anywho, he makes a single in 1971, which is quite good. I quite liked it. And a little later, him and his silly helmet hair gets contacted by a guy called Larry Reinhardt, also known as Rhino. I'm not sure why they call him Rhino, but they just do, and that's what I call him. Anywho, Rhino asked him if he wanted to form a new band. At least that's as far as I understand the story. And in case you're stupid, like me, Rod Evans did agree to this. So this band will later be known as Captain Beyond, with the entire lineup consisting of the previously mentioned Rod Evans on vocals, Rhino Reinhardt on guitar, and two other guys, Lee Dorman on bass and Bobby Caldwell on drums, with Rhino and Lee coming from the band Iron Butterfly, who toured with bands like The Doors all the time, and Bobby Caldwell coming from Johnny Winter's band. I haven't listened to much of them, but that first album, it's fucking good. The debut album of Captain Beyond would release in 1972, which is what I'm going to be ranking in a second. Alright, enough of the Wikipedia reading. Let's rank this shit. Starting off fucking strong on this one. Great iconic drumming intro from Bobby, and that breakdown at like a minute and a half in. Holy shit, heavy as fuck. And Rod Evans, I tell you what, Deep Purple made a big mistake thinking that he couldn't handle a more heavy rock sound. He's absolutely showing his talents in this band. This song is just a masterpiece, and I have to put this in S tier. The previous track, Dancing Madly Backwards, very smoothly transitions into this track, and they would every time they would play this live, they would always be back to back, like no break after Dancing Madly Backwards, just fucking straight into Armworth, and the track after as well. You could say that these first three tracks, are just one song, really, and that is the common theme on this album. All of the tracks they all like seamlessly flow into one another. Oh, it's just very unique. Never seen anything like this. As for Armworth itself, it's not too long. I really wish it was longer, to be honest. I really dig the live versions of this, especially the live in Montreal, 1971 or 1972, I think. But yeah, this is great. I'll give this A tier. A very atmospheric, psychedelic track. As I said before, these first three tracks kind of seamlessly flow into one another. And I think they would always play these three tracks together live. This track, it's got these weird space-like sounds that Rhino does on the guitar. It's just very atmospheric. And Bobby Caldwell's doing this like marching band thing on the drum. And I really like that they bring back the riff from Armworth towards the end. I have to give this A+. Heavy ass riff from Rhino. That intro is just fucking comes out of nowhere, and I always loved because it does something a bit different towards the middle, and then it brings back the main riff towards the end, just triumphant. It's just epic. I don't really use that word often, but it's fucking epic, man. I have to give this S tier. Thunderous guitar intro. It just comes out fucking nowhere. Comes out swinging. And I really like the second half of the song. They got some extra percussion stuff going on. And the guitar does some different stuff too. But yeah, the song is just, it's heavy riff. I'll put this one in A+ tier. Very laid back song here. I attribute this song to, it's kind of like some of the stuff Black Sabbath would do. Obviously they're known for their evil, heavy riffs, but occasionally they'll have like at least one song on each album that's like a very laid back, chill track. I love when bands do stuff like this. It starts off quiet and then this beautiful acoustic guitar playing from Rhino. It's really sweet, and I really dig the live version of the Live in Texas 1973 album. Rod does a bit of different lyrics in that one, and he sings it a bit louder, and it's really great. And this song, it gives you a bit of a breather, because especially from the last track, Raging River of Fear, that song is heavy as fuck. And this one really kind of bridges the gap between the last track and the next one. Since this track is quite short, it's only like maybe a minute or two, I'm going to put it in B tier, but it's still a very nice track. This one's pretty sick, especially that little breakdown 2 minutes in with the guitar and the drums. It's just great, and I love the soloing towards the end. It's great as well. and Rod would do a lot of roaring on this track when they played it live. He's just a great bloody singer. I'll put this in A+ tier. Frozen Over smoothly transitions into this one too. Great acoustic stuff on this one. Kind of foreshadowing of what they would do on the next album, but we'll get at that later. Great guitar work on the outro as well. I don't come back to this one as much, even though I usually listen to this album the whole way through, since that's kind of how it was made. But still, very, very solid. I'll put it B tier. Wow, what a riff. Great singing from Rod here. I'm actually going to rank these two together, even though part 2 is actually a bit later in the album, and it's actually the final track on the album, because it goes I Can't Feel Nothing part 1, then a couple atmospheric psychedelic tracks, which I'll talk about in a second, and then it finishes off with I Can't Feel Nothing part 2. But yeah, it's great, really heavy, and this was actually the very first Captain Beyond song I heard, and it's safe to say I was hooked. And specifically on I Can't Feel Nothing part 2, when it brings back the riff after the few psychedelic atmospheric tracks, the main riff comes back and it's heavy, just incredible. I'll put both of them in S tier. As I said before, these tracks have in between I Can't Feel Nothing part 1 and 2. I'm just ranking all of these together like they're one song because they essentially are. They flow into one another so seamlessly, as is the running theme on this album. I've just never seen anything like it, or heard anything like it, I should say. As the Moon Speaks to the Waves of the Sea is a very atmospheric track. It's got all these like bells and whistles and other percussion stuff going on. Some beautiful backing vocals on it too. Astral Lady is more of a bridge as the Moon Speaks return. The track on the album itself only lasts about 15 seconds, but you could just argue that it's just a part of As the Moon Speaks. So, As the Moon Speaks return brings back that atmospheric sound and nicely transitions into I Can't Feel Nothing part 2. Great atmospheric stuff. I'll lump this lot in B tier. Alright, after that first album, we'll get a bit of a different lineup following into the year after, 1973. This album, the album they released in 1973 is Sufficiently Breathless. Returning from the initial lineup is Rod Evans, Larry Reinhardt and Lee Dorman. Bobby didn't return. I'm not sure where he nicked off to, but I know he would join a band called Armageddon in 1975, but I don't know what he did in 1973. I have no idea. Anywho, replacing him is a guy called Marty Rodriguez. They would also be joined by a guy called Reese Wines on the keyboards and Gil Garcia on percussion, if I'm saying that right. This album would be quite different from the debut. Not as heavy, but still very good in my opinion. A lot of like acoustic, folk kind of stuff going on. Anywho, let's rank this shit. Starting with the title track. Lovely guitar playing. From what I could find, Lee Dorman is the primary songwriter for this album, and it really writes some good lyrics. According to Wikipedia, yes, Wikipedia is my source, Rod Evans and Larry Reinhardt would also write the songs, but were apparently in litigation with their previous bands, Deep Purple and Iron Butterfly respectively. Anywho, this song is amazing. Beautiful acoustic stuff going on here. I love the singing. Rod Evans does a kind of, he doesn't roar and do that heavy rock kind of stuff, but as he did on the previous album, but he's still very, very good singer. I love the singing. I'll put this in A+ tier. Quite a catchy tune. I don't find myself coming back to this song as much compared to the other songs on the album, but it's still very good. I'll put this in B tier. Bit more of a heavy rockin' song compared to the previous two tracks, especially the Live in Texas version. That version in particular, it's very, very heavy. So all around just a great song. I'll put this in A tier. I love this one. Great extra added percussion on it. And those wailing drone and guitar sounds from Rhino are just awesome. And great singing here. I can't help but sing along to this one. I'll put this in A+ tier. A very early Deep Purple kind of track here. Kind of reminds me of something like the song Anthem or Lena on the Deep Purple Mark 1 albums. Especially with that slow organ / keyboard kind of intro. And a very laid back tune, some nice singing. I'll put this one in B tier. As I'm recording this, I'm noticing that my stomach is rumbling a lot. If that picks up on the mic, I'm sorry. We are currently waiting to order some fish and chips. I am quite starving though. Menacing bass intro to this one. And I love that they really utilise the keyboards in this song, which is very much appreciated. From what limited live audio exists, it seems that post the debut album they would open with this song quite often, and I think there's definitely a good reason for that. I'll put this one in A+ tier. I'm treating these two as one song since I kinda can't really rank the former track, Voyages of Past Travellers. It's the only interlude track they have on this album, which is quite surprising given like how many there were on the debut album. It's one of them atmospheric tracks that's got a bunch of weird sounds and fades right into the next one. Speaking of which, Everything's a Circle has become a recent favourite of mine. I love the progression of it, especially when it gets heavily towards the halfway point, and I think it greatly closes off the album. I'll lump the both of these in A tier. Right at the end of 1973, and maybe right at the beginning of 1974, Captain Beyond would break up, or disband is a better term. From what I've read, I believe Rod Evans was just sick of the music industry, which I can definitely understand, and he would go back into education and work in the medical field. So he's gone. A few years later, in 1976, the band would be asked to reform after having disbanded with Rod Evans leaving. So Larry, Lee and Bobby Caldwell would all agree to reforming From what I've read, apparently Rod Evans was asked if he wanted to participate as well, but they weren't able to contact him. And he would of course go on to join the infamous fake Deep Purple in 1980, which got him sued into the ground and made him lose all of his royalties. Poor guy. So they got a guy called Jason Cahoon, whom they didn't record anything with as far as I know. I can't even find any live recordings of him with Captain Beyond. So they would do live shows with him for a little bit before he would get replaced by a guy called William DeFern, and they would actually record with this new guy. They record an album with him called Dawn Explosion, which they would release in 1977. And just a quick fun fact, I actually recently stumbled upon a live recording of Captain Beyond in the early 70s with Rod Evans playing a song called Dawn Explosion. I believe it's in the live in Gaelic Park, New York. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. July 17th, 1972. So if you haven't heard that, and you want some more Captain Beyond material, go ahead and listen to that. It's on YouTube. Anyway, Dawn Explosion, the album, would bring back the heavy rock style from the debut, which is very, very nice. William DeFern is actually a very good singer. I can't really find much material of him aside from the time he was in Captain Beyond. Anyway, let's rank Dawn Explosion. Getting back into that more hard rock Captain Beyond again. And as I said, William DeFern is an amazing singer. I'm really sad that I can't really find much of the material he's worked on besides Captain Beyond. If anyone knows, please feel free to tell me. But yeah, a really good classic rock sounding Captain Beyond again. Just a really solid intro to the album. I'll give this A tier. This is one of my favourite Captain Beyond songs. When I was first listening to this album last year, I actually didn't end up finishing it for a while because I listened to this track and I was just like, oh, this song is sick, and I just kept repeating it on loop over and over and over again. And I love that bass intro to the song, and there's some beautiful vocalizing from William DeFern. And towards the end of the song, they bring back a similar riff from Dancing Madly Backwards, which is really damn good. And one thing I'd like to mention to those who may not be aware, there actually exists a version of this song with Rod Evans on vocals, with a bit of a different arrangements. From what I've read, this song was apparently meant to be the first track on the debut album, which is quite interesting. It's available on the Lost and Found demo collection if you want to hear it. But yeah, both versions of the song are just incredible. I'll put this in S tier, honestly. It's just incredible. I know this isn't the Eurythmics version, the Eurythmics song. There actually exists a live version of this from the original lineup. I believe it's from the Bickershaw Festival, May 6th, 1972, which is really cool to hear. Obviously with Rod Evans on vocals. Anywho, back to Dawn Explosion. This is a very relaxing song. I listen to the song pretty much every time I've had like a day out and I'm on my way back home, I'm on the bus and it's like dark outside. I always listen to this, as well as some to like The Doors and some other like psychedelic tracks. and artists. It's a very soothing song, very beautiful singing from Willie DeFern. This is, to me, why I would have wanted 1,000 Days of Yesterday to be, at least that acoustic 1 minute odd track. And it's actually a full length piece compared to that, with a great guitar solo. Honestly, I'll have to put this in A+ tier. Really good hard rocking song. I have to admit, didn't really come back to this one as much before making this video, but it's way better than I remember. William Dafoe actually does some shrieking and screaming here, which is awesome. I really wish he did it more often. I don't know if he fully realised the extent of his vocal abilities. He can definitely shriek, kind of like Glenn Hughes, or Ian Gillan, some of the best screamers. I'll put this song in A tier. I'm lumping these two together. According to the incredibly reliable source of Wikipedia, the original album counted this as one song, but the CD reissues split them with the added A Speck Within a Sphere for part 1 and Alone in the Cosmos for part 2. No clue how true this is because I wasn't on this planet yet, but I'm ranking it as one song anyway. Yeah, this has become a recent favourite of mine too. Just an amazing riff and some beautiful singing in part 2. I love how the guitar changes in it. I'll lump this lot in A+. This one brings back an arm-worth, dancing madly backwards type riff. I don't already love those two songs, so I am all for it. Great backing vocals on it too. Just another one of my favourites. I have this on repeat very, very often. Putting this in A+ tier. Another bit more of a laid back song. I don't think it's as good as Sweet Dreams, but still some lovely singing and guitar work on it. I'll put this in A tier. I'm counting these 3 tracks as one song too, since they did the same thing with Breath of Fire, where it was originally one song split in, but on the CD reissues it got split into 3 tracks, and this is according to Wikipedia anyway. So if this is wrong, I take it back and I apologise. Anyway, this song is actually completely instrumental, which is something Captain Beyond didn't really do as outside of the atmospheric interlude tracks. The space interlude and reprise come before and after Oblivion. The interlude has those weird atmospheric psychedelic sounds going on, some bells and whistles and stuff like that. Space reprise has got a bit of drumming from Bobby Caldwell at the start, which fades out from the Oblivion part, and then it goes back into those bells and weird sounds, space sounds, which is probably why it's called Space Reprise and Interlude. As for Oblivion, that guitar just comes out of nowhere, and some great drumming and percussive stuff going down, and some great soloing in the middle. I'll lump this slot at the top of B tier. These guys didn't stick around long after the Dawn Explosion album. From what I've read, they would disband once again in 1978. and they would be gone for quite a long time. Many years later, in the late 90s, they would reunite once again with another new lineup. And this new lineup would have some of the original members, Rhino and Bobby. Newcomers are Jeff Artabasi on bass, Dan Fry on keyboards, and Jimmy Interval on vocals. Especially live, Jeff is just great on the bass guitar, very loud and powerful sounding, great tones, and Jimmy is a great singer. He very well fits Captain Beyond, in my opinion, which is something Captain Beyond were very good at doing. They were very good at, in the circumstances where they had to replace a singer, they would always get someone who fits the style. Now, this is where things get a tad confusing for me. Judging from Spotify, which is what I mainly listen to music on, this EP that I'm about to rank was released in 2019, but from what I've read online, it was released in 2000 as a very limited release, like not very many copies of them existing. I'm not sure if the 2019 version was a re-release or a re-recording of the original 2000 version, but I'm going to say that this was recorded in 2000 with Jimmy on vocals. If that's wrong, I am sorry, but at any rate, there are 4 songs on this EP, and this is what I think of them. First song with a bit of a different with this new lineup. It's a quite good rocker. I come back to this one quite often. Jimmy Interval does a very good job singing here, and more great riffs from Rhino. Very good song. I'll put this in A tier. I think this is my second favourite song of the EP. I really love the chorus. It's just really catchy, just love singing along to it. Great keyboards as well, and more great drumming from Bobby Caldwell. I'll put this in A tier as well. This is definitely my favourite off the EP. Just great bass singing and a great solo in the middle. And I especially like the outro because they redo the intro part, because the intro it kind of fades in and it's slow. They bring that back, and then there's some just beautiful singing towards the end. The outro is the highlight for me. It's just absolutely great. I'll put this in A+ because I just love it so much. The intro sound for this one kind of reminds me of the PlayStation 3 startup. I don't know why, but my brain just made that connection. Don't know why. Anywho, the song is very good. I don't come back to it as much as the other 3, but still, for me, classic sound and Captain Beyond stuff. Same with the rest. This one will also go in A tier. Captain Beyond would be active for a few years after releasing this EP. The Future Is Now / Night Train Calling, which the Night Train Calling is what I've heard it was called in 2000, but on Spotify 2019 it was called The Future Is Now. They're both the same thing. Anywho, after performing for festivals and doing live shows throughout the early 2000s, it would come to a head in 2003 when, unfortunately, Rhino Reinhardt would develop cancer. From what I've read, it seems he got treatment and continued to play live throughout the 2000s before sadly becoming ill again and passing away in January of 2012. Former bassist Lee Dorman on the first 3 albums would also pass away in December of the same year. Rest in peace to these guys. Bobby Caldwell would reform Captain Beyond the year after, presumably as a tribute to Rhino and Lee. And this new Captain Beyond would tour from 2013 until 2022, which was the last I heard from them. The official social media accounts have been quiet since then. I hope they're all okay. I hope they're still alive and well. That is pretty much where the story ends for Captain Beyond. But there is one hidden track, a bonus track that I would like to share. And that is I thought I'd include this as a bonus. This is back from the original lineup with Rod Evans and was featured on the Lost and Found album with the Icarus demo that I mentioned earlier. I really enjoy this one. I love the guitar and bass in it. And Rod is just an absolute master on the vocals as always. I'm not sure if this was originally planned to appear on the debut album with Icarus, but I'm glad that we have it. I'll put this in A+ tier. But yeah, that is where the story ends. A great band, definitely a very influential band. I love each one of the singers in this band. Obviously Rod Evans is my favourite, but Willie DeFern and Jimmy Interval are excellent singers as well. I haven't heard anything from Jason Calhoun, but I'm sure he was great as well. Rhino and Lee were absolute geniuses and masters of their instruments as well, and will be missed dearly. Bobby Caldwell's a great drummer who is still alive and kicking in 2025. Rod Evans is also presumably still alive in 2025 right now. And it seems that Bobby Caldwell has kept in contact with him over the years, as he mentioned in an interview in 2015, saying that Rod Evans was doing fine. But yeah, that's all from me. I am very hungry right now. I am waiting for some good old fashioned fish and chips for tea. Right, I'll be off now. Ta-ra!